Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with two comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Onrie. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yisun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it. You're watching Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. What is up, everybody? Wow, I love this little frame I'm stuck in. It's totally like psychedelic, dude. You're watching Virtual Signings with Onrie. I am your host, Onrie Kompen. It is great to be here with you guys this afternoon. I've got two powerhouses in the indie comics game here right now with me. One of them, who's our first guest, is a major inspiration to me. This is somebody that I've wanted to interview and work with for a long time. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Christina Blanche, Christy Blanche, to the show. Dr. Christy, how you doing?
I was like, who's he talking about? I'm good.
I can only be talking about you. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us this
Not
afternoon. You are the bomb. Okay, so tell us your story. I mean, I just want to hear it. Take it away.
Like about what?
Well, here's what I find most fascinating is, you're a dealer and a creator. And I looked at people.
Comic dealer, comics.
Comics dealer, yes, of course. Let's add that extra word. But you've managed to find this incredible way to balance both outfits, and both of them are require so much creative energy. So tell us like how you got here and how you managed to make it work.
Well, I think I lost a bet. No. So I've had the shop I keep saying, I'm like, oh, I've had it for like 5 years. And then I look and I'm like, oh, it's almost 10. Don't do math. So I've had the shop for a little while, and I don't even know how it happened. It was one of those things that the comic shop in our town was going to close, and we didn't want it to close. So we invested in it, and then I learned how to run it, and then everybody else got tired of it and left, and I'm still here. So, last one standing. So which is fine because, it's like I'm the one who took the reins and just, I was like, this is going to work. And so far it has. So thank goodness, knock on wood. So it's been a challenging year for all of 2 years now for all of us. Comics industry is crazy right now with speculation and distributors changing and everything, but it's still doing well. As for creating, I actually started I wanted to write a comic only because I was doing my dissertation on comic books, and I was critiquing comic books for some articles I was writing. And I thought, you know, before I start like critiquing a comic, I read a few things that didn't seem right to me. And so it's like, before I start doing this, I really want to know what goes into it, not read about how a comic is made or read about, you know, somebody's experience, but I wanted to experience it. So I had been teaching, I think, yeah, I have a copy here. It's a damaged copy, so that's why it's sitting here. I was reading, or I was teaching in prison at the time, and the prison program had teaching in prison. And the program shut down, and my friend and I were talking about all the stories that they, you know, our students told us and everything. And we were like, you know, we should write a book. And I was like, hey, how about if we write a comic book? Killed two birds with one stone. So we did. And Chris Carr was my co-writer. He actually kind of had to step away and get a real job, kind of make ends meet, because, you know, we both lost our jobs teaching in the prison because they shut that down. I was still teaching at Ball State, so it was okay, but it was rough. But that's how we came up with the Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. Hey, buddy. And
sorry about that. Go on.
Oh, I love it. My dog will probably be here soon.
Oh, okay.
So we came up with the Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. It was kind of just an experiment, and pitched it to Thrillbent at the time, John Rogers, and he loved it. And it started out digitally, and then I started getting invites to conventions, and I realized, this is a digital comic. I see a problem here. So we printed an ash can of it, and then Dynamite came to me and wanted to print it. And then just kind of things happened, and it ended up 5 issues were printed, and then we finished it. Thrillbent kind of went under, so the last half never really got up there. But then Source Point came to me and said, hey, we found this Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. Somebody gave it to them to read, and they loved it, and they wanted to publish it. So I was like, heck yeah. So Francesco did an amazing new cover. This is the error on there. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I found out that I really liked writing comics. So I finished the dissertation up so I could get that out of the way, and taught for a couple more semesters, got tired of it. And I'd written a few things here and there. We wrote the Tales from the Crypt that we're both in. They asked me to pitch some stuff, so I have 2 stories in that collection, and some stuff for All Yeah Comics, and some little things here and there. And then I was trying to decide whether I was going to keep the shop and write, or if I was going to teach full time, because I just couldn't do both. It was driving me crazy. I couldn't continue at the pace I was going at. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to teach. I'm going to make my decision today. I think I'm going to teach. And then, dang it, Bob Sally called me and said, hey, I'm doing another volume of Broken Gargoyles. I really want you to co-write it with me. I really need you to come and bring this voice to it. And I was like, well, I'm going to take that as a sign. So I decided to quit teaching and do the comics full time, and not, even though I used comics in teaching, it's still, grading papers and all that. So then I got hooked up with Garrett Gunn, and we just now we just write everything together. So
you guys are the greatest rock band in indie comics now. I mean, it's seeing the energy from you guys, especially at New York Comic Con. I mean, I was just, Ted Sikora and I, we were just so utterly awe-inspired by what you guys were doing with Good Boy, and just the presentation, and just overall, I see all these posts that Garrett makes. But aside from that, it seems like the most interesting thing about what you've decided to focus on is something you're truly passionate about. And I see it from reading Good Boy, and I actually haven't read Wormwood, But I'm really interested in Blind Justice, and we're going to talk about everything. But I just find your energy in this industry just to be so like motivating. It's like, wow, if Dr. Christie can do it, maybe I can do it too.
If she can do it, anybody can. I mean, come on. Have you seen her do math?
No one's seen me do math. That's even worse. That's the only thing that's worse. But Dr. Christie, I'm gonna call you Dr. Christie, or Doc. You have
whatever.
So you have The Damnation of Charlie Wormwood over here. Is that copy for sale, and do you have other copies?
I have a better copy for sale.
Okay, and how much would you like?
These are $20 for this whole thing. She is the artist on this. She is spectacular. He's in Malaysia. We've never met, but we talked a lot. And what's really great is like so we did flashbacks in here. So he did, it's black and white, but it doesn't need color because it's so beautiful. All the flashbacks are in the line art. All of these stories in the flashbacks are stories that were either written in like essays to us or told to us, or we overheard and had to, like one day I was writing some stuff in the board prepping between on a break. We had 3-hour classes, so we always had a break halfway through, and they started talking about swamp donkeys, and I was like, I know I'm going to regret this, but I've got to know. I need to know what this is. So I turned around, I was like, okay guys, I said the same thing. I'm going to regret this, but I need to know about swamp donkeys. So they went into this whole explanation, and I was just like, oh, this is like gold. So it's in here. It's so funny. Yeah, so this is $20. It's beautiful. It's many years of my life. It's dark. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, this would be one of a book that is very similar. I hadn't seen Breaking Bad when I wrote this. I wanted to wait, and after somebody was like, I didn't watch it at first because I was teaching in prison and I knew it was about meth, and I saw meth every day, not the actual meth, but I saw the product of meth every day, and I was like, I don't want to see this all day and then come home and watch meth. Yeah. So, but then when I started writing this, everybody was saying, oh, that's like kind of like Breaking Bad, and I was like, okay, and everybody was talking about it. I said, well, when I'm done, I will watch it. And I binged it. I turned in the last issue, finished the series, and then I started binging it. And oh my gosh, is it fantastic! And I was like, well, that's stupid. I'll never write anything that good. I could have watched this. I could have watched this a long time ago. It is fantastic. So it's kind of that. We do have quotes from Gail Simone and Tom King on the back. And this Jennifer Chrisman, she's one of my friends that we always say when we see each other, yeah, we met in prison. And she was an educator in prison, and along with me and one of my friends. And so she read it and she was like, okay, yeah. I was like, make sure I got everything, I explained chipboards right, because it's like there's little things that aren't exciting about prison that had reasons why they had to be in there and explained. And she actually used it in teaching her criminal justice class because they don't allow cameras in the prison. And so there's certain things she would try to explain, and that she didn't have any visuals for it. And so I drew out what these things look like, and then she made them into a legible something. And so she would use this to show her students, certain things. And I was like, that's so cool. So, yeah.
That's really awesome that, your book, it can not only be enjoyed as a story, but as a means of teaching. And that's really kind of embodies your personality, really. I mean, you are a teacher, so you have that aspect of your personality too. So that's really cool. Yeah. All right, guys, Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. Get this book for only $20. Call it as you see it.
I have good copies too.
Oh, outstanding. All right. So what else? What else we got here? You're working on so much stuff now, and like I said earlier, you and Garrett are the greatest rock band in indie comics right now.
Well, Garrett is my best friend. We usually will talk. I'll just have him on speaker in the store, and we just talk for 3 hours. And like people come up to the register, and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" The other day he was on. We were FaceTiming, and he would just talk to the customers as they'd come up. "Hey, how are you today?"
That's awesome.
Garrett is the best person. He's my best friend, and I love him dearly. This I did not do with Garrett, but this is. Well, let me get the regular copy.
Now this, Christy, I'm going to tell you, I have a couple customers that are ready to cut my head off. So it's actually my best friend's wife. She read the first Broken Gargoyles trade.
Uh-huh.
And then I brought her over the last time I came over, and then the most recent time I came over, she's like, "Why don't I have more Broken Gargoyles?" So if no one claims this right now, I'm going to claim one, or I'm going to claim a few. So don't worry, we're going to walk out of here with some books,
okay,
for sure. But tell us what we got going on here.
Well, this is the book that might change the direction of my life, just because Bob was like, "Hey, I want you to write this with me." So this is Broken Gargoyle, Sin and Virtue. This is the second volume. And oh my gosh, this cover is fantastic.
It really is. It's so dynamite.
It's Francesco Francavilla. I mean, obviously. And he's amazing. We also did, this is the All Yeah Comics exclusive. This is the Virgin or Vegan, however you want to say it. All Yeah Comics. We did 250 of these. There's our little thing. The back cover's even pretty. These are like $10. The other singles are $5. So Broken Gargoyles it's a diesel punk series. And hi, Philip. So as you said, Bob had the first volume art done, and it was out, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So he asked me to come on and do this because we were going to have some female characters. And I was like, yeah, man. And so we did write a little, the story thus far, so that if you did just pick this up, you wouldn't be lost. And it's 3 issues. We've got 1. This is my favorite character in this book, Irma. I love her. We've got number 2.
And one of the things I love about Broken Gargoyles is the title is an actual term for soldiers that come back from war disfigured, and that's what initially drew me to the story. So I read Of Wrath, and I read your forward in Of Wrath, and I got a lot of your story from the introduction that you wrote. So with this second series, I'm looking for you to kind of like plug this gap for me. You come into a series that's already been established right in the middle of it, and are now picking it up and writing it. How did it feel at first? Because the way you wrote about Broken Gargoyles in your introduction, you had a very intimate, relationship with what was happening here, given your history, your own personal history with it. So what was it like stepping into this world, not just as a writer, but as a fan of what Bob was already doing?
It was kind of surreal and I was very timid at first. I was just like, Bob would have a suggestion and I would go, well, we can do that. That'd be great. But what if we did this? I just didn't, I'm like, I don't want to change everything, but we were introducing new characters, and it's literally a huge new story arc. But yet it still continues the main story. It's like some of the Doctor Who seasons. There's this overarching theme, but then there's these little story arcs in between. It was difficult, but it was not for some reasons. And I loved the book. I thought it was fantastic. And I love this book. And I think it turned out, it was, we got a little bit of the shaft because one, it was put into the Diamond system and Gargoyles was misspelled. So I kept getting messages from people who couldn't find it. And I was like, well, it's because it's this. And then Source Point wasn't on FOC, the final order cutoff date, until number 2. So that kind of hurt it a little bit because I know a lot of, as you well know, a lot of retailers, all they do is FOC. All they do is the final orders.
Yeah, that's what happened with me and Easton Shin initially, and I didn't even know what an FOC was at the time. But because I was just like starting out and calling, and I know how hard that is, and it's you know. But I think based on what I've seen you doing on your live shows and at conventions, this book's gonna move. And
I hope so. It's one of those things that I think it's timeless. And Bob and I have one more arc that we're finishing, so it'll be 9 issues total. So we're working on that. We took a little time, stepped away from it, and we're back working on it. So there'll be one more arc. So it'll be a really nice collection when it comes out. The collected edition comes out for this volume comes out soon. Maybe next month, this month. It could be this month.
Well, I definitely want 3 sets of the second arc.
Okay.
If you can get me a Charlie Wormwood, I would love to just read it, just because
I can do that.
I want to check it out. So what else we got here?
Okay, what else you got?
See how easy this is?
This is like super
easy. And you got if no one's calling it, I'm calling it, guys. You guys are going to be calling it after me. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
We're going to be let me just write this down so I don't.
Absolutely. Start a tab for good old Onrie.
And Damnation. Okay.
And the best part is I pay on time, Christy.
I know you do. I know you do.
Around with this.
So next, let's talk about. Somebody asked me. I know you can't pick the favorite thing that you've written. It's like asking you to pick your favorite child. And I was like, oh, I can totally tell you my favorite thing ever. It's this.
I love this so much. I had so much fun. You even had a cosplayer at New York Comic Con dress up as your character.
Yes.
And that was just so much fun. And the New York Comic Con exclusive, that sold out for me within. We had Garrett Gunn on a previous episode. It sold out within like 10 minutes. It was just gone. I didn't have to think about it. We
were out at Saturday, and people would just come up and they would go, "What's this about?" And I was like, "Well, do you like John Wick?" Yeah. I'm like, "Well, this is a reverse John Wick. We'll take it." It's like, "Well, do you want to know the price?" No. We'll just take it. Okay. Well, it comes with this card. Okay. I'm like, okay, here.
The card was the coolest thing.
Oh my gosh, the card is so cool. Garrett's brilliant. He doesn't really know how brilliant he is. He's so down to earth, and but he's so brilliant. He's a showman. I can't say enough good things about him. But it's like when we were writing this, and I was like, we came up, we were going to have favors, like the coins. And I was like, do you think we can really make these? And he was like, I already have Dave the Coin Guy on it. And I'm like, so now we have Dave the Coin Guy. So he's so good at marketing and knowing what people like and knowing what's going to work. And he's brilliant. Pick up all of his work. His work horns is great. His Cold Dead Hands. I am a huge fan of his, besides him being my best friend and what I always call him my ride or die, WRITE. So we're each other's ride or die, because we just plan on doing, writing together forever. But Good Boy is my favorite. We were lucky enough to get Nick Bradshaw on covers of our little indie book, and in addition to that, we were lucky enough to get, this is crazy. I still can't believe that these covers are ours. Francesco Francavilla.
Oh, that's a beautiful. Francesco is such a nice guy.
He's wonderful, and it's just, he did everything on this. So this was, the inks were by Nick, and then Kit did the colors. This is all Francesco. Including this. We have this on here. he put this on here, and our letter, Dave Lentz, who's amazing, he said, that's not our font. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to leave it. It's like, but it's not. And I'm like, Garrett was like, no, we're going to leave it. It's, that's what he did. This is Francesco Francavilla. So, but these are the issues for number 1A and 1B. I don't know how you choose which one you like better.
Let me do 2 of each of those if you can.
I can.
Excellent. So I'll take 2 of those. And then, Christy, we have 2 minutes left before our next guest comes.
Are you serious? Okay, well, let me hurry up then.
I honestly, I would love to have you back on at some point because you're just so awesome. And
anytime.
I'm just letting you know, I'm not just buying so I can resell. I'm also buying because I want to read I really want to read your stuff. And
I appreciate that.
Of course.
This is the issue 2 that came out last month. A and B.
Two of those as well, please.
Oh my gosh! Look at these covers.
They are dynamite, especially that one on your right.
This one.
You're right.
This one.
Yes. That is dynamite.
I can't choose on these either because they're so fantastic. 3 comes out at the end of the month. We've had so many variants and everything. Like Jay Fosgate did this variant, the Dracula variant. It was a C4 exclusive. They're just. We've had so many fantastic. We've had Devil's Advocate homages and Bill and Ted homages and the Kickstarter. It was just great. So, yeah. So we can do that. We'll get you 2A and 2B.
Excellent. That just gives me something to sling, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've already read Good Boy, but now I haven't read issue 2 yet. So now I'm finally.
Oh my gosh! Issue 2 on the very first page. I'm just going to show this real quick because I love it. This is right here. That's my dog.
Oh, that's your dog drawn into the book?
Yeah, that's Pro. Yeah. So he's famous now. He's actually, there's a number 2 coming out. I think it's from Things from Another World, and it's the Notorious B.I.G. homage, like a thing, but it's Poe, so we call it the Notorious P.O.E. So I'm going to get him to rebark a couple and put his, we're going to get a little stamp pad and have him put his paw print on there, rebark them. Yeah.
One last book I really want to hear about because we got like a minute to go here.
Oh yeah.
Is Blind Justice.
Blind Justice.
Please tell me about this.
Blind Justice is our kind of, we love him. We love Golden Age superheroes, but a lot of the stuff is so ridiculous. And so it's kind of our take on it. So if you like punching Nazis, this
is your thing, right?
This is for you. So it's Blind Justice. He's obviously blind. There's reasons. You learn the backstory. His sidekick, which Garrett's wife came up with, Aunt Rachel's brilliant also, is Humanity. His name is Hugh, and his power is he turns into a big manatee. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. She's brilliant. He chose wisely. So this is the Ash Can. It is so much fun. It is so over the top and ridiculous. He fights the Reich Master who comes back. It's ridiculous, and I love every minute. Chris Campana is on the art on this. He is knocking it out of the park. I mean, it's just, I just can't say enough about it.
How much you got on this?
Those are these. This is the C2E2 exclusive.
Okay.
So for here, everywhere else, I think we have them for 30 or 25 or something, but $20. Like
20 bucks on this? Sign me up for one of those.
Okay.
I would really like an Ash Can.
And this is the Air variant. They were supposed to be matte, and they came shiny. And so there are very few of this Air variant around.
That's excellent. I'm looking forward to reading it. I absolutely cannot wait. And Christy, as much as I'd love to absolutely continue, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And you're fantastic. Next time we're going to make it an even bigger event. And
okay, sounds good.
Books. Please invoice me.
Okay, I will do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. All right. Next. I guess we're going to take a commercial break. Well, our next guest is already here. We got Frank Martin, writer extraordinaire here. Look at this guy.
You picked me up while I was doing Uber Eats. You caught me off guard.
Oh, really? What do you get? What's for dinner?
Sushi.
Oh, there you go. You know who owes me dinner is Ted Sikora. You should look him up. He owes me dinner.
I wish you brought me in while she was still here. I wanted to tell her how much I like Good Boy.
Oh, she might hear you. I need to figure this out. I'm still figuring out everything.
You know what's great about that book is that it knows exactly what it is, and it doesn't waste any time getting to the action and the violence. It knows exactly what it's supposed to be, and that's why it does. It's great. I read like 3 issues of it. I don't know how many are out, but I felt like I read 3 issues of it.
Well, here's the thing. Talking about people and things that know what it is and know what they want to be. I think that way about you. And I want you to tell us real quick who you are and what you do. I'm going to go grab your books because I know where they are. I just got to run out this room here so I'm going to hear everything you're saying. But go ahead. Tell us all who you are, what you do.
My name is Frank Martin. I am a writer, comic writer, and author. So I write novels, I write prose, and I write comics. I've been running Kickstarters for the last, 3 or 4 years now. Last year I did 5 of them. I bounce all over the place as far as genres are concerned. I do sci-fi and fantasy and horror and adventure and comedy and all sorts of different stuff. Some of my recent books from last year have been Polar Paradox and Pipe Creepers, which I currently have a campaign for live for part 2. Part 1 was last year. The Last Homicide is a detective mystery. Macabre Motel is kind of a Twilight Zone-ish horror. I have Modern Testament, which is an urban fantasy. And I wish Onrie would come back because I'm running out of titles to just kind of list off.
I'm back. I am back. I'm here. And I got Macabre Motel here.
So do I. But I bet I have a version of it you don't have.
Well, that you have to show it off.
I have a trio of holofoil covers. I want to make available. So I did this was available through the Kickstarter, and I did this was back in 2020, I think. Geez, was it like a year and a half ago now? But this one was available. This one, Ryan Kraboth did an awesome cover with the twins, the sisters from the book, and he requested a holofoil. So I ordered it for him, but I only did like 10 of them. So I don't have that many, and that's available too. And then
how much real quick, how much is that going for right now? The holofoil.
The holofoils are $35 a piece.
So $35 a piece, and there's only 10 of them in existence.
Of this, yes. Well, Ryan might have like 5 or 10. Okay. So 20. There's not that many. This wasn't really like a part of the campaign. I just did this because he thought it would look awesome, and I agreed with him, and we just decided to print out a couple. And then this one for Pipe Creepers 1. So Pipe Creepers 2 is running now, but I don't have this available as like a pledge level. It's an add-on, but this is a holofoil of the Pipe Creepers #1 because I wasn't going to print it again because holofoils are expensive. I don't really want to print them, but I had some leftover stock from the first campaign, so I thought I'd make that available to people too.
Excellent. So can you give us the pitch for Macabre Motel real quick, just so we know what it is? Because the one thing I absolutely love about this book is that it is a one-shot, and I have 3 copies of the original cover signed by you. Can you give us the pitch for the book?
So I like to pitch it as a Twilight Zone book, but Twilight Zone was a little before my era. So I like to say, are you afraid of the dark? That's what I grew up on, kind of the serialized horror fantasy. Every episode's a different story. And that's kind of what this is based on. Like Onrie said, it's a one-shot. It's about a guy named Steve who's very nervous about meeting his girlfriend, and he decides to rest the night. He stops at a motel, and the motel is filled with really weird people, just off people, and it slowly descends into kind of a rabbit hole of Alice in Wonderland madness. And it's horror, but the way people describe it, it's not like in your face scary horror. It's more like unsettling, weird horror, you know?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that it was light. It was eerie, but it wasn't like oh my God, this is disturbing and disgusting, and it didn't.
No, I mean,
it didn't give me.
I write those stories. I could write axe murderers chopping your head off and blood and guts flying everywhere, but that's not what I wanted to do with this. I wanted to just. It's weird because I wanted to just throw random things at you that are just odd, and as the story progresses, it gets weirder and weirder and weirder until you like reach the boundary where like, okay, this makes no sense, and it just goes off from there. So it's a lot of fun to write, just throw stuff at the wall and see what worked and what didn't work.
So, Frank, how much we got? How much we got the first issue going for the regular cover here?
I sell those books for $5.
So $5 is what we're doing on this, and then you got your
foil for that same cover is $35, or foil for the sisters cover is $35 too.
Excellent.
I like that. I can.
You like the glowiness of it. All right. Well, there's another series of yours that I just am so in love with. This bad boy right here.
I have that one too.
So tell us about this book.
So my original series was Modern Testament. That's kind of what I cut my teeth on. It's an anthology series where I basically learned the art of comic writing through short stories. I hired a whole bunch of artists, and the premise of it is biblical beings in modern times. So you got to think angels, demons, stuff like Constantine or Ghost Rider. And the way this book works is this character is Jupiter from Braden Cox's series, Reclaiming Godhood. And when I was done with Modern Testament, I looked towards other creators who had characters that could cross over with the series. And Jupiter kind of fit perfectly in that realm of mythology. So Braden and I teamed up. We put together a book, Modern Testament and Reclaiming Godhood. We came up with Modern Godhood. And basically what it is it's 3 short stories where Jupiter faces off against 3 biblical beings. In this case, it's Lilith, the beast from the Book of Revelation, and the 4 horsemen. So it was a lot of fun. Bray and I had a lot of fun bouncing ideas back and forth and bouncing scripts and writing and putting it all together. And that was kickstarted in 2022. Not 2022, but you know what I mean.
2020 as well.
2020 as well. Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's a better way to put it. So Modern Godhood, we got, 5 copies of Modern Godhood. Frank, what do you got this going at?
That's $5 too. I try to be competitive with the books you would pick up at the comic book store, even though for indies it's a little tough. But $5.
Well, I think there's a level of prestige to what we're doing because of the fact that you're not only getting a comic, you're getting all the you're getting everything that the creator has to give you when you're buying a self-published book. And that's what I think makes this show work so well, is the fact that people can actually like see your energy and understand why you would go out of your way to watch your dog lick his feet.
I know. I wasn't good enough by myself, so I had to get the 2 babes behind me. Hanging out. But yeah, it's a lot of work making a comic. So I find fans that are of indie books are a lot more passionate than fans that are like of Marvel or DC, I agree. So now this week has been a really interesting one for one reason in particular. Let's look at what's happening right now with Shark Tank and how Black Sand Entertainment got that $500,000 deal with Mark Cuban and Kevin Hart. That speaks a lot to what's going on in our business in general. What I noticed is that these investors basically opened their kimonos and they said, "We're not interested in your books. We're interested in your properties." Yes.
And obviously we're interested in the books. We got into it because we love the books. But there's a sense of, wow, this would be cool if it was made into a movie. However, the way the way you're pitching your books and the way you're presenting them, they're these one-shot stories. How do you envision them being adapted, or do you envision them being adapted?
I mean, I think that's a catch-22, because of course comic creators would love to see all of their books come to life. But at the same time, you can't think 10, 15 years down the line. You know, you got to think in the here and now and think just about making the best comic you possibly can. So when I make one shots, when I make 2-part stories, it's just because I have so many ideas cooking up in my brain. I don't want to be stuck on a series for 6 issues or 10 issues. You know, I want as many ideas as I have flowing around in my head come to life. And that means just doing a one shot so I can move on to the next thing and then move on to the next thing. And that's kind of how I see it.
That's excellent. So, Mike, we got Macabre Motel. If you're a Twilight Zone fan, you'll like this. This is going to go for $5. And then we got Modern Godhood, also a one-shot story with three different stories in it. Both books are going to go for $5. We're looking at $10 on the set. These are both signed by Frank Martin, the writer and publisher of the series, of both books. And Mike, now I want to take Frank, now I want to take this in a different direction. What's going on this year? What projects are you working on now?
So on Tuesday, I launched Pipe Creepers 2, which is basically let me find the book, which is basically the second part of this 2-part book here. So yeah, it's fully funded. It was off to an excellent start on day 1, and it's just kind of climbed from there. The basic premise of the book is 2 plumbers, 2 blue-collar guys. They go to work on a creepy mansion, and they kind of find a cosmic Lovecraftian mystery filled with monsters and creatures in the basement, and they get wrapped up in this adventure. It's more of a black comedy, fun, quirky adventure than it is like an outright horror, scary, in-your-face kind of blood and guts story. So I describe it like The Burbs. You know, that's kind of how I wanted this cover to look. You know, just kind of, it's horror, it's scary, but it's more like light, fluffy kind of horror. So that's stuff that you can laugh while you're reading or watching. So it's a great series. People have really dug it. So because they backed part 2 a whole bunch, and I'm really excited to see how it ends.
So what do you got planned for this year in terms of like conventions? You actually are doing you're doing your Kickstarter right now. You want to drop the link in the comments here?
Sure. Let me see if I can even find it.
But
I'm not on my computer.
My next question is, like, do you got any plans for any live appearances, like any cons or store signings?
I think I'm going to do some store signings. I'm local, New York, right outside the city. So I'm going to be doing around that kind of neighborhood, tri-state area, maybe Connecticut, New Jersey, New York City kind of stuff. I don't think I have any cons planned as of yet. I'm still kind of, she's really going to town on her foot back.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I'm like, she's like just eating that foot.
She's a puppy. So that's probably, yeah, I'm talking about you. No, you're not the puppy. You're the puppy. They look exactly alike. Anyway, I know I don't have any conventions planned just yet. I'm still gauging the atmosphere, the temperature of the convention scene. But store signings are great. I like them. I really dig them. It's a more close-knit one-on-one connection rather than convention where it's more of a shotgun approach, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So how's your Kickstarter going?
It's going great. I had no idea it was going to kind of pop off like this. I've never been funded on the first day before. This was the first campaign I was funded on day 1, which is awesome. And I look at this campaign and I compare it to the campaign for number 1, and it's kind of weird because the campaign for part 1 funded in like a week and a half, and this funded in 12 hours. So it's weird to see how it exploded so much when I haven't really done anything that different. But I guess the way I've been pitching it is Super Mario versus Cthulhu. I mean, it doesn't have Cthulhu, it doesn't have Super Mario's, but that's basic idea is that it's plumbers and Lovecraft, and I smash it all together, and it's a fun book. It resonates with people, I guess.
That's outstanding. So when is it coming out? Like as soon as you're done, like with this campaign, like are you done?
The book is completely finished. I have a very particular process for running my Kickstarters. I order the print run of the book the day after the campaign ends, even before they get the Kickstarter funds. I just tell the printer, charge my credit card, send them out, and I get them ASAP. And as soon as I get them, I ship in like 200-300 books in like 2 to 3 days. I do all-nighters and I send them all out because I want to launch the next one soon. So I want to make sure everybody gets them. So the fabulous United States Post Office has time to actually get them to the places they're supposed to go.
Yeah. I'm actually getting ready to do my next campaign for my comic book series. I'm actually planning to launch 2 campaigns this year. As somebody who kind of has and I totally agree with your approach of making sure everything is done. I think in my first 2 campaigns, I went to Kickstarter first and then went into development, and then things just kind of dragged on. And that's not a mistake I intend to ever make again as a comics creator, because that can really hurt you. People seem to then think that you forgot about them, and that's not the kind of impression you want to leave behind for your backers. So, as someone who's coming back to the Kickstarter platform, and just for anybody out there who's listening right now and interested in jumping into Kickstarter, what kind of advice do you have?
My advice is to try to touch base with people before you launch. Don't try to launch and then touch base with people. You want to build an audience beforehand, people that know you, like you, respect you, are into your stuff before you hit that launch button. So that the day one is very, very important because it builds momentum. So you want to make sure that you have at least people that are aware of your existence and what you're all about before you head over there to Kickstarter.
And Trish is saying, do your research.
Yeah. Yes. Do your tons and tons of research on what works and what doesn't work. For me, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Onrie. After my first campaign of last year, I did a book called Last Homicide, which is a detective mystery story. I was hoping for that to be the book I launched first this year, but the production has kind of lagged. So I had to be very fluid with my schedule as far as what I was going to launch, what I wasn't going to launch. I had 3 campaigns that I was building at the same time, so that I knew that if that one that I was hoping to launch wasn't going to make it, I had another one ready to go. So that works for me because I develop a lot of projects at the same time. But it kind of helps to be fluid and to not be so concrete in your plans, because stuff comes up. You can never plan for everything.
Trish just launched. Mike and Trish launched their first Kickstarter campaign today, and they just got a Projects We Love stamp on their project. And she owes it a lot to research. Trish, I'm going to have to hit you up. You're going to have to tell me the research you did.
I think people underestimate the importance of that badge. A lot of people say, "Oh no, you need your own audience. You can't rely on that thing." But Kickstarter really bumps you up in their algorithm if you have that badge. I think they really do. They put you more featured on emails and on searches and stuff. So it's a congratulations. I think it is a boon, and hopefully it helps your project. Not that you can rely on that alone to fund your project, but it's just kind of, another bullet in the chamber to kind of just to help you get some more funding.
Well, it already looks like day one is finishing up for Trish and for Mike and Trish, and they're already edging towards that 50% funding. And I'm just so happy for them. I've known them for a while now, and they've been very supportive of me. And
yeah, 50% after day one. That's a good marker.
Yeah, I agree. And these campaigns are just overall, it's a very different type of game. I'm used to being in front of people when I sell, but there's lots of different ways to sell. And, I'm always looking for new ways to go about learning and doing things. So it's really cool to see how different people are working in comics at different capacities. Now,
I love all those pictures of you at conventions with all the empty boxes behind you. You look like a champion.
I appreciate that. And it takes a while to make myself look like one. So it takes even longer to feel like one. But the fact that you're doing this, and you have a day job that occupies a lot of your time too, plus 3 kids.
I have 3 kids. Writing has so far been my full-time gig now. I've started that in 2021. I'm not solely comic writing. I'm doing other stuff too. But yeah, this is kind of what you know what? It's actually harder than I thought it would be. When you have to grind out the words day in, day out, it gets tiring. It does. It's like the chef that doesn't want to come home and cook for his family, you know?
So when do you write? I mean, like if you're, I mean, and you're running a family business, or are you working for?
Right now, I'm not involved in that anymore. I'm solely writing, but I write for various media outlets. You know what? It's not the end of the world because I read comics and then I write features about them, or I watch movies and I write features about them for a couple websites, which is it's a pretty good gig. But as far as time goes, it's not that easy to find time to do it. You know what? What's been a very boon to me is I've started using voice to text on my phone. So I kind of just, if I'm relaxing in bed and I don't want to actually hit the keyboard and start writing, I'll just kind of put my phone up and just start writing an article, you know, or I sometimes do it. I shouldn't when I'm driving, but I do. So I'm like, yeah, I had to drive to this place. I actually got work done, you know? So I kind of, and you know what? The best gift my wife has ever bought me, she bought me, I don't know if I told you this last time. I tell everybody this. I bought a waterproof notepad.
How did you get a waterproof notepad?
They sell them on Amazon, I guess. So what it does is it comes with suctions, and you put it on the tile in your shower. So I'm like in the shower, I'm watching. Oh, I got a great line of dialogue. I'll just like kind of write.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome. I actually use it a lot. So I steal seconds during the day to write.
You know, and I think that's something I've been learning because I'm looking to scale up right now with my business. You know, and it's really interesting. I had Christy on before you. So Christy, you know, she's both a dealer and a creator, and you know, learning how to balance those two outfits because they're both full. Like in my opinion, they're both full-time jobs. And you know, now I'm looking to see like where can you optimize your time, you know, because if I'm spending say 6 hours warehousing stuff and shipping stuff out, but I'm not getting anything else done, I'm not being efficient enough. And I think it's kind of, it speaks a lot to what you were saying about how you're driving and you're making those notes. And I love the idea of the waterproof notebook. That's something I'm going to invest in. Did you get it on Amazon?
She got it on Amazon, yeah. And you know what? I've gone through like since she bought it for me, I must have gone through like 20 pads. I use it all the time. I mean, my brain is always in writer mode. You know, it's very hard for me not to be thinking about. If I'm not in writer mode, I'm in creator mode. You know, I'm thinking about what artists I have to message, what publisher I have to talk with, or editor, or something. So it's kind of just nonstop, and it's fun, but it is still work, and it's a grind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. So we are coming to the end of our episode, and I want to give folks one last chance to grab Macabre Motel and Modern Godhood. And Kyle, we have a link for Frank's Kickstarter campaign. Can we add that into the comments so folks can find it? If not, Frank, I'll make a post and send people in your direction. $5 on both books. Call it as you see it. We got plenty of copies of both Macabre Motel and Modern Godhood. I'm going to be shuffling these out next week. We got the Kickstarter link right here. Okay, got you, Mike. So we sold a Modern Godhood and a Macabre Motel to Mike Collins. Thank you very much, sir. And if anybody else wants it, we still got 4 Modern Godhoods and 2 Macabre Motel. Plus, Frank's got his exclusive. Is it a foil cover?
Yeah, we got a foil cover for Pipe Creepers.
Outstanding. And that one was 35 again?
Yes. That's
great. All right. Well, Frank, this will not be the last time I see you. I will have you back on again. And one of these days, I really hope we can meet in person so I can shake your hand, man. You know, you're someone I have a lot of respect for.
Well, thank you. I don't know why, but I
Well, it's because you have the dog that ate his own feet or her.
I've got 2 dogs.
Like
I said, I'm a bachelor this weekend, so I just got me and these 2 lovely ladies behind me, so I'm gonna have a good time.
That's excellent, my friend. Thank you so much. We will be in touch, and I wish you the best of luck with everything that you got going on. And I'll be in touch with you soon. We'll figure something out.
You too, Onrie. Have a good one.
Yeah, excellent. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Tomorrow, EXP Expo begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. We got Fish Lee. He's the first guest for EXP Expo. And then on Sunday, we have 2 guests. We got Tom Hutchinson and Joshua Starnes of Red 5 Comics. So details are to follow on the Sunday guests. And every day next week, we're going to have 2 guests come on every day, including Mog Park, Dirk Manning, Afua Richardson, Scout Comics people, and of course, me and Chuck Pino. We're going to be talking about War Lion, and we're going to show you guys some exclusive art from behind the scenes, stuff that Dexter our artist, is working on right now, and I cannot wait for that. Next week, we got 2 new guests coming on, and our slot for EXP Expo is going to be 1 hour before virtual signing. So I am really looking forward to seeing you guys next week, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Up next, I think we got Art Collectibles.
The original art show is postponed, but we'll be back at 9 with Nancy McCann.
Okay, there we go. Kyle called it. All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys next week with some new comics. See you later.